The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, and help me introduce Pam Tucker. Pam is the vice chair of the Republican Party here in New Hampshire.
Yes, I am, and glad to be back with you, Carl. It's always good to see you.
Yes, we've done a couple of these little interviews in the last few years, so I'm happy you were able to come today. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the state is doing to get ready for this coming convention? It sounds to me that we're going to have a heck of a time.
Well, it is nice to see the wind in our direction. Everyone says the wave and all of that. It is nice, but let's remember the elections are still 270 some days away. That is a lifetime in political time if you really think about it. I mean, you think about how things overnight can change from a week ago, and you think, what happened? So we're just riding along, and what we won't do is take anything for granted. We're going to do our best to inform the voters of what's been going on up in Concord, and obviously everyone knows what's going on the national levels when they go pump gas or they go to the store. But what's been going on the local level to help them. And that's where I'm focused, is on our state. And some of the things, we have a lot of great things to talk about, but we need to get people out there talking about them more so people know what we did.
Right. I think that we're looking at things like the education. People are very excited about what's been happening with some of these different departments that are in education. We're looking at taxes that are going crazy, and in Nashua reevaluation. That's the housing, costs are up high, and clarity. People that are not getting the understanding of the transparency that we expect from our local election.
In Nashua? Yeah. Well, on the state level, and I only speak in general terms here, I know this is Nashua and they have their own set of issues, but statewide, some of the things that the last legislature's done under the leadership and guidance of Governor Sununu, is they have reduced the statewide property income tax. Now that went right down to the municipalities. Now what they're going to do with that money is another question. Is your local board, are they going to spend it, or are they going to actually reduce your local property taxes? That would be a good question to ask your local boards.
We ought to. That's right.
Yes, you should. I think it's over a couple $100 million.
Yeah.
And we've lowered taxes in that regard. We've basically are putting the interest and dividends on a roller coaster ride just to be zero in just a few years. So that will help everyone with their tax burden. And people say that's only for the rich. No, it isn't. Everyone who has any type of investment, interest, or dividends, it affects you. It's not a rich tax. It's an everyone tax.
Yeah, you don't have to own those securities, but they're taken care of.
Yeah. When you get the bill in the mail, you'll know, and you have to pay the tax on them to the state of New Hampshire, NHGRA.
All right.
So there's little things like that we're helping out. The one you brought up was the Education Freedom Account.
Right.
And that basically allows the money to go with the child. Cut and dry. Isn't that why we fund schools to begin with? That's a question that that we can answer and say, yes, the money should follow the child. Our school system should understand that, and if they're a good school system, you're going to keep your kid in that school, and the money will stay there. If the elementary school down the block is a little bit better off, and your son or daughter is not in a good position in that school, you as a parent have the right to take that money and take your child and go to that school. And I think that's fair for the child, and that's what's doing what's best and providing the best educational opportunities for children. And so that is one thing that we've helped everyone across the board. Again, that's not for the rich, that's for everybody.
Right.
It doesn't matter. The money goes with the child. I think that is significant, and it's going to help improve our education across the state.
And most of these children or parents that they go to other schools are not really taking all their money that the school was getting for them, that the local school was getting from them. Some of them stays with that.
With the school anyway.
Right.
And you think of it this way as a parent, and you've been a parent, I'm a parent still. I think you're a parent forever. I don't care how old your children are.
That's right.
And you think about if my child was in the school and not learning and in a very bad environment, say she's being bullied, kids get bullied all the time now, and you wanted to move that child, yet the school says, well, if you to move it even to another school district or go to a private school, that's going to cost you, $10,000, $15,000. So what am I to do? Leave my child there?
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's not what's best for our children. And I don't know anyone in the state that doesn't wants what's best for every single child. We can accommodate every child, and this is a great way to do that.
You're right. And I see that happening too. I've talked to it, and I have several grandchildren that are around here, and they're, even just because of the virus and stuff, that was one of the decisions to go to a different school.
Sure. And parents may have a litany of reasons that they want to move their children around. And whatever it is, I mean, it's certainly none are nefarious. These are people and parents who are actively involved in their children's education. They care, and they're trying to make it better for their child. You can't argue with that.
Right. Well, I think you hit on some main problems that are going to influence the election, but what's going to happen to the Republican committee? How are they going to handle the whole statewide election? Because I know you get involved with maybe even setting up a local, what would you call it, election hall in Nashville.
The committees, the local committees?
Not the committees itself, but the location of whether they have put out support to help the local.
Yes, we want to help people because there are some questions around the state about election integrity because of some of the things that happened. But we know those are isolated incidents. They're not widespread. There's no issue where the Secretary of State is trying to suppress votes. I have all the confidence in the world in Mr. Scanlon, and he will do an excellent job. I've worked with him for years, as you have. So I'm not so worried about the election integrity there. I'm more concerned about getting people out to vote. And knowing why they're voting for and what they're voting for. Are you voting for higher taxes and more government intrusion in your life? Or are you going to vote to have government stay out of your life as much as possible, be there to protect you, like the police, and take care of your roads? That's what we need governments for. We need public schools. Or are you going to vote for them to take over every part of your life and tell you what the price of things should be and how much you can, what you can get in terms of your medical care and where your kids can go to school, where your kids can't go to school, what your kids have to do and learn in school? There's a litany of issues out there that I think a lot of parents have woken up to see what's going on in the schools. And we just need to continue to talk to people about what's happening and why they should vote for certain candidates.
Well, have you had anything to do with the training of the candidates that are running?
We do the New Hampshire Republican Committee. We do training for candidates running for state representative and other candidates. There are a litany of other groups out there who also do very comprehensive training. It's not a scary thing to run for office. When I ran 14 years ago for my first time, it kind of was scary because there wasn't the network that we have nowadays. But if you think about it, 14 years ago, nobody had a website either. That was new and exciting.
It was light, yeah.
It really was. And very few people, cell phones weren't a daily thing. Oh, it's like, ooh, you have a cell phone. And think about the first apps. So in 14 years, we have really just continued to grow, obviously as a society, but the amount of technology that we have now and the way we can reach people is very different. So we need to train people on how to do that. Of course, going door to door and training people to do that is very important. Knowing how to interact with people is important. But being able to reach out to the voters as well and let them know what you stand for and why you stand for issues. It's very important, and we help with that as well.
And have you had any way of telling potential candidates what to expect if they're elected?
Well, if we did that, I'm joking. We do. Part of the training is to understand what the time commitment is if you're going to be a state representative. Also, what to expect when you get there in terms of the number of committees, what the committees do, their assignments, why you might want to get on a committee. For instance, if you're really interested in the environment and the timber industry, you might, and things like that, I mean, you might want to get a commerce, but that's not necessarily timber. But if you're interested in that great outdoors, there's the Fish and Game Commission. If you're worried about those types of laws, there's Resources and Recs, which talks about our lakes and taking care of those things. If you're really concerned about children and education, we have education. We also have children and family law up there. I mean, they really have done a great job in terms of setting up the right committees up at the State House for both the state representatives and the senators as well. They're a little more consolidated because there's only 24 of them.
Yeah, they still write 500 bills too. Or something
They
like
do. They manage a good amount, and and the funny thing, and you know this about being up there, is you never know what's going to come at you in terms of the bills that are written, and so you get some very interesting ones up there. Because
definitely.
It's as a state representative, you're there to represent your community, and sometimes a constituent will ask you to write a bill for something, and it might be a little bit out there. Do you remember the one where wearing red caps in Lake Winnipesaukee if you were swimming? That was one of my favorites.
There are some, that are a little bit humorous, I guess. But there are also some very important ones that have been fighting over.
Yes.
And education, again, is one. You brought up one. And there are other things there. Again, it's a matter of balancing control and with the ability to get things done without being overbearing, I guess, on the people. The people like the freedom. I think that's one big thing in this state.
We do, and it's important that we maintain that. And I don't know if you're on Twitter, but I sometimes see comments out there. And one person was really upset at how free New Hampshire was and couldn't wait to leave. And I'm like, okay, that's your choice. At least we offer that. You can go right next door to Massachusetts if you really want to buckle up your seatbelts. Yeah, right. I mean, but if you really do want freedom, come on up. But just don't bring your Massachusetts politics with you, because we really enjoy what we have up here. And the Republicans are here to help defend that and maintain what New Hampshire really is all about. And it is living your life the way you want to live it, and not having government tell you what to do. And now someone out there might say, oh, well, what about that bill they just passed about the 24 weeks abortion ban? The most terrible bill ever. I say that in jest. Well, what the legislature did with that is they banned late-term abortions. And the vast majority of Americans and New Hampshireites agree that late-term abortion is awful. And so we voted to ban late-term abortions. The Democrats voted for keeping, or against for banning. They voted for keeping late-term abortions. That's awful. That's awful. Those are babies. They're not fetuses. Those are babies.
Well, I mean, you should be able to, if you have to do that anyway, it should be able to be done right away.
Exactly. Well, that's, by having had 3 children.
4.
Your body feels a little different, and you kind of know something's going on there by about 6 weeks. No, but
I mean, I think that the one exception, I guess, they have is mother's life or something like that.
I'm sure there's exceptions. I didn't write the bill.
But anyway, to get on to other things that we're going to or the state's going to have available to us in the campaign. I understand that we're getting a little bit more help from the national GOP this year.
The RNC, the Republican National Committee, they've already have boots on the ground here, which is fairly unusual. Certainly in New Hampshire it is. We normally don't see them on midterm elections, and certainly not in the force that we have them. They want to help us. They're helping the state Republican Party get organized, helping to get town committees up and running. We've got a lot more town committees around the state. And we do that not only to get more people involved and engaged, which is great because you meet like-minded people and you form a lot of new friendships that way. But it's also a way to get out in the community and also be a support mechanism for candidates who run. And that's important that we have that as well, so the candidates don't feel so out there alone as well.
I think that is because we've sometimes been somewhat ignored by it because we're surrounded by the opposite party, I guess you might say.
Well, here in Nashua, but at one time we had quite a few Republicans elected here.
2010, I'm seeing it all over again.
Well, let's hope. But it's good to have those committees and get them involved, just with the local people, because they help spread the word of what we're doing right. And there's a lot to talk about there.
And audience, we'd like to have you invited. So come to our Republican parties. They're on the second Wednesday of every month. And we'll show you what we're doing to get the proper people elected to help you live a better life here in New Hampshire.
Sure. And at those meetings, you invite guest speakers in to talk about the issues that are affecting, whether it's state issues, even national issues. But they come in, and it's interesting to hear other people's perspectives of how things are going. And, you know, it's an education program, too. So I enjoy going to the local committees and just talking to them about what's going on and how we're making things happen and making New Hampshire a better place.
Right. And we're trying to use this TV station just to do that, too, is to get people to understand what's happening here in Nashua and what we're looking for. We will be interviewing the candidates this coming election.
Sure,
So,
you got quite a few candidates.
You?
I hope you're doing both sides.
Yeah. Well, you know something? We haven't been able to get any Democrats.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's funny. They don't want to talk about their thoughts or how they're going to go.
Oh, in all honesty, you need balance. You really do, to see both sides of the issue. You did have a show down here. I don't remember who it was. It was a state rep, and it was great. It was a lot of give and take.
The reason he had a Republican with him is he couldn't get a Democrat to come. So that's kind of a funny situation. I appeared on his show too. But I think he's had some medical problems and hasn't been a representative for a couple of terms.
Yeah, good guy. I think I served with him.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun to work with. I mean, we can have a discussion. We can argue and without coming out and hitting each other.
Right, we take little digs at each other. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, we might have, I think we all want the same thing. We all want a better New Hampshire.
Right.
It's how we get there. And do we have to trample on people's freedoms in order to have a better New Hampshire, or we can just let people go and let them take care of themselves versus government trying from cradle to grave to take care of you and tax you to the nth degree.
And you can see that in how we operate as an entity up there in Concord. We have probably 5 different factions in the Republican Party, if you want to call it that.
At least, well, we know now that the Democrats have factions too.
But actually, in the past, the Democrats would vote in a block. I mean, they couldn't. You could see that almost 100% of the Nashua representatives voted the same way.
Yes.
And we had people that, well, when I was serving, we had a couple of different people. We had people that were a little bit more liberal, a little bit even more conservative than me, but we got along and we got things done. I think we had a good reputation for handling the budget that year and getting started on locking the taxes down at the same time increasing the income. which I think was something that nobody would have projected the way it's worked out.
And look, and we have part two now with the budget that just passed. You see, even though they cut taxes, they cut the rooms and meals tax, they're cutting the interest and dividends tax and the 100 million property tax reduction. Yet the revenues are what, 239 million more or something crazy?
Yeah.
So it does work.
Right.
It does work. We don't need to, we've never taxed our way into prosperity, but it looks like we reduce taxes into prosperity now.
That's right.
So it works.
And this is the time too. This is the technical time where I have so many different things that are coming up that are going to help our economy. And even the railroad is coming up with freight up here with CX, a major railroad, wanting to expand and bring freight up here, which freight means there's people that are buying it and making things and selling it. So that's the economy.
Yes.
And so that's there's a lot of things that look positive. And I think Nashua has a tremendous opportunity. And Nashua, too, can be ahead of one of those opportunities. We have a number of big factories within the, well, I say a 50-mile radius, and we should take advantage of that. We should make it welcome. We should help these companies grow.
We should, and give them a reason. We have a great airport that's right there.
Right.
So you can fly in and out very easily, and you're situated very nicely and conveniently also between the Boston airport, and I was talking about the Manchester one. So you've got a great location here. You're right across the border in tax-free New Hampshire. Yes, there is something to be said for that. And you're right. We do have a good workforce here.
Right.
We have a strong workforce. I mean, our unemployment rate is at what, 2-point-something% now? It's obscenely low.
There's a lot of open jobs.
Yeah.
That's what we need, is the people that come in, we keep our college people, the college graduates that we have here. We have, we have a good university. We have Dartmouth. We have Southern New Hampshire, which is expanding.
Plymouth State, which is great. Yeah. Got to keep them all here. Yeah, and the jobs are there.
Right.
My daughter just graduated, and she got a job here in New Hampshire. And a great job.
Oh,
I'm really happy for her.
Very good.
Yay!
One down and how many to go?
2 more to go. Exactly. We're all like, yes.
Well, I got through with that, but the grandchildren need a little help too now. So.
Yeah, but the opportunities are there, is what we're saying.
That's right.
And we have a great business environment.
It's good business here. We have a lot of different things, a variety of things that go up, and a variety of skills that people need. And our school, the community colleges are very good at helping develop new technology.
It is, and they're working with businesses now to find out what skills that they need to do, because nothing works if the plumbing doesn't work.
That's right.
We need plumbers.
Right. Yeah. Well,
and
you need everything there. All technicians, and I know they did a lot for people that work with cars. I know they did something on advanced welding, of all things, but that's what's needed for some of the advanced technology to take care of space stuff. We're going to have a lot more space. We're going to have a lot more satellites going around this.
Yeah, it's only going to get better, or worse, I should say, or better, however you want to look at it.
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, but those are all great paying jobs too.
Right.
And we need them. We have them here, and we want the people to stay here.
So, we want to work too with the state. So, is there any way we, as an operation of communication, can help the state?
Well, the best thing we can do is just get involved and know what's going on the state level. Of course, there's always testimony that's going on up in Concord, and you can look at the bills and see what they're relative to. If it's the topics, again, they're divided by committee, divided by issues within the committees, and see if this is something that affects you. Probably a lot of it might or might not, but certainly get involved and find out what's going on up there. And contact your local representatives about how you feel, and your state senators about how you feel about legislation. They need to know. They're representing you. They're not representing a political party, and that's what they need to know, how you feel. And that's a great way to get involved. attend the Nashua Republican City Committee. Another great way to get involved and to understand what's going on, because there's a lot of information
Definitely.
that is disseminated at that committee and all the committees, not just
And they
Nashua.
there's another experienced people on those committee that can explain why things happen the way they do. Because if a person who hasn't been involved, it's a mystery what the people do up there and why they do it. And sometimes it's a matter of the way the state is designed to operate. It's not something that we're going to change immediately.
Tomorrow.
You know, there's these things you've got to work with in certain, I guess, experienced ways of doing things.
Sure. Yeah, we are doing one thing, and this is through the Republican Party, but it's also with the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women. We've started a program back up that basically trains women to be leaders within the state.
Yes,
Republican
that
women.
is. That's good.
Yeah, it's called Ready to Lead New Hampshire, and you can find it on the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women, nhfrw.org, the application. And what we're trying to do, and we will do, is create female leaders to help women. Women love to help people, and this is just one other way that we're going to help women be educated and trained to be leaders within our state. I mean, we do a lot already. We're moms, we're teachers, we're this, we're that. This program is going to bring it all together in how to be the best that you can be, and work on your image, being whether it's in person or whether it's on social media or whether it's in writing, how to talk to people, how to work with people, how to lead organizations and make things happen. And we're launching that program, and we hope to get some more women involved in it.
Oh, definitely. I think we'll probably have a few candidates for you.
Oh, I think we do.
Okay.
I know at least one from Nashua.
Well, that's something that we're looking forward to. And I know we're looking towards some good work from you. I know you've done a good job in the past years that I've known you. And I want to welcome you back a couple of times before the election.
Sure, I will be back. And
We'll
thank you
get
for having
updates.
me.
Okay? Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Always great to be here.
Yeah.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.